The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing?
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, Trump-backed Ken Paxton won in Texas. So far, President Trump has a 100% track record in these primaries for endorsing candidates that go on and win. And who better than the former White House press secretary, Ari Fleischer. Ari, it's so great to have you here in studio. It's Rita, John. We have Judge Richard Weinberg. We have Rudy Washington. And we also have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna with us in studio. So, Ari, what did you make, first of all? It was called within an hour, and clearly it was the Trump backing that made all the difference.
Yeah, it was called, I think it was called within 5 minutes or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
If you went to get a hot dog, you missed the results.
Right.
Yeah, it is remarkable how Donald Trump has really put his stamp on the party, but it happened, and I want to remind people, it started to happen before President Trump was elected. This populist movement inside the Republican Party has been long in coming. President Trump turned the movement into a hockey stick in terms of movement, but this has been the shape of the party since Republicans started to lose college-educated graduates, suburban voters. They started to increasingly become Democrats, and blue-collar working people increasingly became Republican. That's a trade I'll take any day.
Yeah, that is. And you know, it was an interesting, I was watching all of it as it was breaking, Ari, and Cornyn was very gracious and said, look, we have to make sure we keep Texas red. You could tell he's going to support him. And there was a beautiful post sent by President Trump about Cornyn. Even Paxton praised Cornyn. So you could tell it looks like the party is going to coalesce. This is going to be a nasty fight. I mean, the guy on the other side, Tallarico, right away was starting to slam Paxton. And yet this guy, as we were just talking about sort of where are the moderates, people are trying to brush this guy like a moderate. He's not a moderate. I mean, he wants open borders. He says there's 6 sexes. I mean, how is this race going to go?
Yeah, and not eating meat. I mean, I love that part. Like, he couldn't have picked a better state than Texas to make that claim. Look, Texas is the state that Democrats for decades have gone to burn up their money. They want to turn Texas blue. They think they can do it. They believe they have a shot. And so when Beto O'Rourke ran against Ted Cruz, they spent lavish amounts of money to lose handsomely. And ever since then, they keep falling for Lucy and the football, thinking this time they can kick it. Can they kick it this cycle? Will it be such an overwhelmingly Democratic cycle? I do think it's going to be a Democratic cycle. But bear in mind Trump's first midterm, 2018. Republicans lost 41 seats in the House. They picked up 2 seats in the Senate. And that's because of the nature of the races that are up every 2 years in the Senate. And when you look at where the Democrats have opportunities in the Senate in the 2026 cycle, you got to look really hard and far to find places where they really do have a shot at winning. You got to think they can win Texas. Really uphill fight for the Democrats.
I agree. We got Judge Richard Weinberg.
All right, good to talk to you again. What troubles me is the fact that so much money was diverted to Texas in the primary, then the runoff, and now you're going to have to spend more money for November. And you have a lot of races out there with very good incumbent senators who are Republican, as well as good candidates with that money and that attention should be spent there. And it's now being diverted because President Trump would not support the incumbent Senator Cornyn. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a fair analysis. I do think it would have been easier with John Cornyn on the ballot. It would have cost less money. And certainly we have races such as North Carolina and Maine that are going to be a little bit closer than Texas should be. So why are we spending money in Texas when we could be spending it in these other places? But having said that, political money is almost got no end to it. I really don't worry about either party running out of money. It seems every cycle they spend more, they raise more, they get more, super PACs spend more. I don't think if Republicans lose any seats anywhere, it's going to be because of money. In Texas, for example, John Cornyn now spent he has been Ken Paxton, by almost 10-1. So money isn't everything as long as you have enough.
Yeah, very well said, Ari Fleischer. Well, Ari, we also have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna here.
Hey, Ari.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I just wanted to ask you, so I know that seats in play this cycle compared to 2018 are actually more so in our favors. And I'm cautiously optimistic. I think if we get out of Iran and really President Trump is able to secure everything with a straight, I think that those oil prices are going to drop like a rock. Do you think, though, that kind of given the political climate, if it were to happen tomorrow, you think that we lose versus if we can secure something with the Iran deal?
Well, here's the states. Republicans have states where we could pick up seats. Arguably, this is a stretch, but these are the four: Minnesota, New Hampshire, Georgia, Michigan. Michigan and Georgia are not stretches. New Hampshire is a mini stretch, and Minnesota is a bigger stretch. 4 seats. Democrats have 7. North Carolina, Maine, and then it starts to get stretchy for them. They think they can pick up Ohio. I don't think so. They think they can pick up Alaska. I don't think so. They think they can pick up Iowa. I definitely don't think so. They think they can pick up Nebraska. I definitely don't think so. And then there's Texas. So in reality, it's each party has about 2 really good, close toss-up races. So give the Democrats an advantage. It's going to be a Democrat year, midterm election. I think the Democrats pick up 1, if they're lucky, 2. And do Republicans pick up any Democrat seats and cut into that? I don't rule that out. I think Michigan could be a flop for the Democrats, and I think the Democrats could blow their chance in Maine.
You know, you talked about Maine, Ari Fleischer. I can't believe still that this guy's, looks like leading on the Democratic side, Graham Plattner. And he's got the Nazi tattoo. And again today, he was asked, I don't know if you saw this, Ari, again, will you, apologize for trashing veterans? He was trashing Ted Daniels, who was this Purple Heart recipient, saying he was a coward, essentially. I mean, it was just horrible. And Chris Kyle, great American hero of American Sniper. And again, he will not apologize. Isn't it amazing that this guy's even on the ballot?
Well, he's called himself a communist. He said that all police are bastards, his word. He called himself a vegetable-growing, psychedelic-taking socialist. I mean, he and Tallarico should get together on that one. It would amaze me if he does win in Maine. It would just have to be such a disastrous cycle for Republicans, for Democrats to look beyond all this guy's foibles. But what gives me caution here is the Democrats had a candidate run for Attorney General in the state of Virginia who sent an email threatening to kill the children of the Republican Speaker of the Assembly in Virginia. It was public about a month before the election, and he still won. So the Democrats just have this zeal to defeat Trump no matter what, and they equate everybody with Trump, made all the elections about Trump, and that can take them places, particularly in a close state like Maine.
Ari, John Katsimatidis, it's going to be November is going to be a tough race, but I think it could happen for President Trump. How many of the Democrats that are running are what they've tried to do is bring in, like in Virginia, former CIA person to be deemed like pro-America. In New Jersey, a former
military pilot,
person, et cetera. How many supposedly they look like common sense Democrats are they have versus really crazy Democrats?
Well, that was their thinking, right, that they couldn't win with the crazies. But this cycle in Texas and Maine, they're going with their crazies. So, yeah, they want to stay. They've got moderates in places. In Texas 35 in a House race, they did defeat in a Democratic primary a crazy anti-Semite and elected a sheriff's deputy in the Democratic primary. That's a run to the moderate side. But in other places, they can't control themselves, and their wacky extremists are winning. So they're all over the map, is how I would put the Democrats. And the question is really going to be, who's got the wind behind their back? Is it a Democrat cycle or a Republican cycle? Because that is more important than anything, even candidate quality. If there's a powerful anti-democratic year, it's great for Republicans. That's what happened in Obama's 2 midterms. Powerful anti-Republican year. That's what the first midterm was for Trump in the House, not the Senate, though.
Rudy Washington.
Harry, good to talk to you again. Listening to the Congresswoman next to me, you realize that this just didn't happen overnight. This is a 30-year taking patriotism out of education, taking religion out of education, and now what you're looking at is a generational divide. And if you watch and talk to some of these young people, it scares me when they say they are college graduates and don't know the answer to basic questions about the history of our country. And I also want to go to one other point. John might get upset with me, but I think...
why would I get upset?
Because you're not going to like what I'm going to say.
It's okay, I'll let you know.
I love how we air it all out on the air.
But I know Judge is going to be saying, say it, Rudy.
Say it, Rudy. Say it.
I think the president is making a major mistake. I think he gives the leverage all to Iran. You cannot negotiate with a rattlesnake. I think what they would do, they would sit back and say, yeah, we got a deal until October. And then they'll start firing on ships. And the media, which is anti-America as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you 110%.
I would not give them that leverage.
No, I agree with you 110%. But knowing how the president thinks and knowing how I think, I'm going to give you my version of it. That the midterm elections is more important than those stupid Iranians. Okay? That's the way I feel.
Yeah, if I can just jump into, I think a lot of people forget, too, that President Trump just going to China recently was, I think, very strategic in these negotiations.
Yes.
But then also, too, he does have a respected relationship with also Vladimir Putin. And I think those two powers not backing Iran and understanding that even on his board of peace, they actually are engaged in conversations. That is actually maintaining the United States' position in these negotiations. And then also, too, I think bringing down tensions. I think people forget that in all of this.
And I understand that Putin and they're devious. Putin and Xi are both devious, and they'll supply money, but they don't want nuclear war.
Correct.
So that's the most important thing. The American people, no nuclear war among Russia, China, and the United States.
Correct.
And open the Strait of Hormuz has to be open.
So,
non-negotiable.
Not negotiable. Iran should not have a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, let's go to Ari, you guys. Ari, your thoughts.
Ari is on guest.
Yep.
I'm starting to come around to a different theory about what's going on and why we're not going back after Iran militarily. Byron York, in his column yesterday, started to allude to this. I can't help but wonder if the president has been told by both the intelligence agencies and DOD that using force again against Iran is not going to topple the regime. Because it's so obvious to me, if the regime would be toppled by us using force, Donald Trump would topple the regime in a heartbeat and be done with this. So there's got to be a rational reason we're not doing that, and I have a hard time thinking that Donald Trump used military force in June of last year.
Yep.
February of this year is philosophically opposed to it. There's something deeper here, and I can't help but think that's the only explanation.
There's an additional explanation, Harry. The military is not going to talk to you about it.
Yeah,
we tried to interfere with Iran closing off the Strait of Hormuz, because we don't want to use our carriers or destroyers to escort the tankers.
The tankers, right.
It's not a safe thing to do, especially in a day of supersonic missiles where 5 seconds later you say, oh, crap, it's coming.
Right.
Okay.
By the way,
so that's the problem. Militarily, we don't want to. We don't want to go that direction. It's going to take too long to choke them to death with the Strait of Hormuz.
Yep.
And
go ahead, Ari. Yeah, go ahead.
What I think is holding Donald Trump back right now, I don't know that I agree with that, because I do think there are analyses out there that say that this is a brittle regime and it will fall, it will topple, and that we do have the ability to do it. I am surprised that we announced Operation, whatever it's called, Projected Freedom, the escorts of the ships. We announced it, and then 36 hours later, we unannounced it. That was odd. We can escort those ships through there if we want to, but again, what's the military price? for whatever the reason is, the president has decided that he's not willing to, at least it seems, pay that price.
Well, this is going to take further discussion, and I hope you come back on with us another day this week.
Yeah, we love you, Ari.
Thank you so
Ari.
much, Ari.
Thank
Great
you.
to be with you guys.
Thank you, Ari.